Blake Lively has lost almost 900,000 followers since the Baldoni It Ends With Us drama.
She's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud.
Taylor has politely backed away from it all. She is conscious of her own image and hates that she was even mentioned. Justin Baldoni and the Wayfarer team manipulated the press, and she's doing the exact same thing right now, meaning she's upset.
Blake Lively is spiraling, and Hollywood is watching her downfall in real time. Everything she's worked for, her career, her credibility, her fan base, is slipping through her fingers like sand, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. Once the golden girl of Gossip Girl and the sophisticated star of A Simple Favor, Blake is now one of the most despised actresses in Hollywood, and it all happened so fast. Talk about karma moving at lightning speed. She thought she could play the Me Too card to her advantage, but instead she's knee-deep in a scandal with Justin Baldoni that she never saw coming. She tried to use her Hollywood power to bring him down, thinking everyone would automatically side with her, but Justin was not about to let that happen. He clapped back hard, and now Blake is drowning in the backlash. And when I say backlash, I mean a $400 million lawsuit kind of backlash.
Attorneys filed a $400 million lawsuit in the Southern District of New York on behalf of Baldoni and several others on his team.
Blake Lively has lost almost 900,000 followers since the Baldoni It Ends With Us drama. Meanwhile, he's gained over 230,000.
That's a win if I've ever seen one. But the real gag? The second that lawsuit went public, Blake lost 325,000 followers overnight. Meanwhile, Justin gained 159,000 new ones. That's how you know the public has completely turned against her. Blake is sinking like the Titanic, and the fans are not her lifeboat. If anything, they're standing on the shore, waving goodbye as she disappears into the ocean of irrelevance. Before Justin took legal action, people were actually believing her. But now, she's getting dragged into the court of public opinion. The backlash is relentless, and it's not just from fans. Hollywood itself is turning its back on her. Her behavior on set didn't help either. She was never supposed to be in charge of this movie, but she acted like she was. She wasn't the director, and she wasn't the one who even secured the rights to adapt the novel in the first place. But did that stop her from acting like she was running the whole show? Absolutely not.
She's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay grade.
She took over like she owned the project, all while not even reading the book it was based on. Make it make sense. How are you trying to take creative control over a story you didn't even bother to understand?
Blake Lively did not even read the book that the movie was based on.
And the worst part? The cast and crew were terrified to speak up because they knew going against Blake could be the end of their Hollywood careers. She had that much influence, until now. But now, things have gone from bad to worse. This case isn't just some Hollywood drama. It's a full-blown legal war, and Justin is winning.
Said you think the court of public opinion is leaning more toward Justin Baldoni. Why do you sense that is?
I just think he's shown us more of text messages and emails, and we've gotten his side of things where we've heard some of her claims, but then we see based off of his side, there's a bit more context.
Blake thought she had the industry on her side, but now even the people she considered friends are ghosting her. Her Us co-star Jenny Slate was allegedly forced to support her claims, and even that's not helping her case. Her celebrity besties are backing way off. Then came the Hollywood Reporter cover that truly sent her over the edge. On February 22nd, they dropped a cover featuring Blake using a slingshot on Justin Baldoni. Now, why would they do that? Oh, maybe because she was the aggressor in this whole mess. But instead of owning up to it, she lashed out, accusing the Hollywood Reporter of being sexist.
Of course she's not, and instead she slammed the entire cover for being sexist.
Girl, what? How are you going to start a whole scandal and then get mad when people point out that you were the problem? The hypocrisy is wild. Blake was the one screaming about being a victim, but the second the public saw her for what she really was, she completely switched up. She tried to play the victim card again, but this time, nobody was buying it. Instead, people dragged her for breaking down over a poster. And what makes this whole thing even funnier is that the Hollywood Reporter article wasn't even about tearing her down. It was actually focused on how Justin's faith influenced his actions on set. That's it. But instead of just taking a deep breath and moving on, Blake threw a tantrum like a spoiled child, and the more she screamed, the worse she looked. She never expected Justin to fight back, and now that he has, she's scrambling. The desperation is real.
She finally bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough to stop her, right? This Justin Baldoni, most people had never even heard of him. He'd been in like one series. He certainly wasn't at Ryan Reynolds level fame, never mind Blake Lively. And she bullied him into giving her the movie where she did her own cut. They released the cut.
But Justin, he kept his receipts intact, and his legal team is not playing. His lawyer, Brian Friedman, has made it very clear that he's coming for Blake and is going to bury her lawsuit.
Attorneys filed a $400 million lawsuit in the Southern District of New York on behalf of Baldoni and several others on his team.
Blake Lively has lost almost 900,000 followers since the Baldoni It Ends With Us drama. Meanwhile, he's gained over 230,000.
That's a win if I've ever seen one. But the real gag? The second that lawsuit went public, Blake lost 325,000 followers overnight. Meanwhile, Justin gained 159,000 new ones. That's how you know the public has completely turned against her. Blake is sinking like the Titanic, and the fans are not her lifeboat. If anything, they're standing on the shore, waving goodbye as she disappears into the ocean of irrelevance. Before Justin took legal action, people were actually believing her. But now, she's getting dragged into the court of public opinion. The backlash is relentless, and it's not just from fans. Hollywood itself is turning its back on her. Her behavior on set didn't help either. She was never supposed to be in charge of this movie, but she acted like she was. She wasn't the director, and she wasn't the one who even secured the rights to adapt the novel in the first place. But did that stop her from acting like she was running the whole show? Absolutely not.
Notice here, this is the original complaint. As you can see, that first text is still there, but she removed, they removed quite a few texts, specifically these right here.
Blake knows she's losing, and she's panicking. And guess who else is panicking with her? Ryan Reynolds. He's been doing everything he can to clean up this mess, but instead, he's just making it so much worse. The biggest disaster? His little stunt at SNL 50. He thought he could make light of the situation with a joke, but it completely backfired. Some people laughed, sure, but most found it dismissive and tone-deaf. Instead of shifting the conversation away from Blake, he just made things 10 times worse. Now his own reputation is cracking, and his brand is too. At this point, everyone is distancing themselves from Blake. Even Taylor Swift, who has been one of her closest celebrity friends, is backing off. Meanwhile, Justin is living his best life, enjoying a vacation in Hawaii, while Blake's career goes up in flames. Honestly, it's not hard to see why people are boycotting her. Who would want to work with someone who bullied a director out of their own movie? She and Ryan allegedly used their status to take over It Ends With Us, and then they forced the director to watch the premiere from the basement while they took center stage.